All right, and here we come to practice section 1, getting started with the piece in earnest. So here I have in black, the fingerings written are John Williams fingerings. And so those are the most popular fingerings that you'll see in scores whenever you purchase this piece. In purple, I've put some other fingerings that I use, and sometimes I think they're better and sometimes they're harder, but they have certain benefits, and we'll talk about them, and you can choose which one you want to use for whenever you're practicing it. You can try it both ways, or you can just pick one and go with it. So to begin with, this is the way that we're going to organize our work here. First, we'll just look at we'll look at the left-hand shapes, and we'll just talk through the physicalities of playing the piece. Then we'll talk about, as we go, we will talk about the phrasing and the dynamics and the louds and softs and swells and fades and that sort of thing. So before you start at all, I would first off just play the melody. And just so that you know, what is that? So we first off have one, I'm just going to count, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1. So that's our melody for our first 4 bars, right? That's our first 8-bar phrase. So then that's what we want to hear. And so then how are we going to think about that? 1, 2, 3. And here. Then maybe an echo. Da, da, da. Ba, ba, ba. And so we could just end this whole first 8-bar phrase on a decrescendo, right? So we start off. And the second is an upbeat, right? Upbeat to here. And when you're playing just the melody, the actual fingerings in the left hand don't really matter. You can just sight read the notes just to hear it, because we're just getting our concept of the notes and hearing it, because it's actually written up here. So then as we do that, ba, ba, ba. As a general rule, we don't want to accent high notes. So looking at this right here, bum, bum, bum. We don't want to accent that. We, ba, da, dum. We just want this to flow out. We ought, dun, dun, dun. Don't let your high notes pop out. The highest note meaning if there's a note below it and above it, before and after it, that is lower, then that's a high note, like this one is right here. So that's it. Boom, boom, da, da, da. Now let's look at the actual chords. So the John Williams version first is this. It's a C-shaped chord. If you know your removable scale shapes, it's a C brought up here with the root on the E, and we're not actually playing that playing the E there. We're bringing the pinky over here to play the melody in the B. So then we have, and then the low E. So we have that shape, and then we jump up to this shape. And this is one of the butt joints I was talking about earlier, where you have, so now we have the 3, our last note is this G sharp right here, and then we need to get up here, which is a hop, because there's no way to really connect that well, right? And so then we have a bar chord on the 6th fret for his fingerings. Another fingering that you could do with this is to use the open string. So then you have the 2 on the B, 2, G sharp, open B, E on the 3rd string. So now we have, and then you can bar across right there. And that way you're keeping your 2 on the B, and so we can connect the melody more easily there. And so from that then, our last note being G sharp, then we can bar, that's what this little bracket is right here. You can kind of just do a two-string bar over that, and then that'll, so it's just a different way of doing it. And it makes it much easier to connect the note so that we don't hear that bar chord, that bar line, like we were talking about. So it dovetails it by letting this note ring over, because it actually is continued. There it is again. So it does continue, so it allows it to ring over. Now at the end of this measure 2, then we get to this, and here's another butt joint. So the John Williams fingering is playing this chord like this. We have our last note is this G sharp up here again on the 4th string. Well, now we need to jump up here and get up here. Now, where we're going, just so we can know where it is that we're going, then we can talk about connecting it. It's this A minor 7 shape. A minor 7, it's way down there, you can't even see it. So it's up here with the C sharp in the bass. And then putting the actual root of the chord. It's an F sharp minor 7 chord. And this bar chord up on the 9th fret. So then we're getting from a bar chord on the 6th fret up to a bar chord on the 9th fret. So that's the shift, right? So how do we dovetail that so that it's really smooth? And the solution I came up with, which is not great, is to, as this 3 is ringing, right here, as that 3 is ringing, then we bring the 4 down to the G sharp on the 5th string. And that means using your arm and kind of getting it over there and getting that. Now you don't have to hold them both on, but just to have it overlap just a little bit until that one's playing. Then you can have that G sharp ring over while these 2 notes play. And so then that's the solution. So you can play with it. It's a little funky at first until you get it comfortable. So just a quick note about looseness. In time, when you master the piece, it will become, you'll be able to play it with some sort of flowing and looseness, right? But you can't play loosely until you can play carefully first. And so there's going to naturally be, as you learn, a little bit more tension than is necessary, simply because just like when you're first learning to drive, if you're gripping the steering wheel and everything's very stiff, and as time goes on, then you get better at it and you're able to relax a little bit and you can just drive with one finger. And it's not that big of a deal, but at first it is, because you don't have the control and the touch, so you use more tension than is necessary. It's completely natural and it can't be any other way, or it certainly isn't usually. So as you're practicing this, knowing that, move, and then lift. I'm a little out of tune, sorry. So then there are your first 4 measures of the piece. So to play everything at the same time, both ways. For the right hand, one common way people will play this type of music, which is to have a melody on the top and then accompaniment, is to do rest strokes with the melody. But I recommend doing this entire piece with free strokes. Just do the entire thing with free strokes. And just get good at making your free strokes sound really good. And so let your tip joint flex through the string when you play, and that's going to round out the sound a little bit. Play very oblique to the strings instead of very parallel to the strings. This is going to be tinny sounding, and this is going to be more round and rich sounding. Push from the big knuckle into your hand. This isn't a full technique lesson, but have that, and then that can keep your hand you can get a beautiful sound with the free stroke, and so you don't need a rest stroke. So I would recommend not using any rest stroke in this. Also with the right hand, always optimize the hand position for the melody notes and the fingers up here. So whatever angle is best for the melody and for the richness and the beautiful sound on the top, that's the hand position, and everything else has to figure it out. So the thumb, it just has to, we don't optimize for the thumb in this type of writing. Instead, the thumb will make do with whatever it has. If it needs to do a rest stroke or something, then so be it. If that's the angle, if we need to. But we want to keep our decisions of where our hand is. We want to keep that optimized for the melody and optimized for arpeggio position in general. So that is the right hand for this. So I'll play it one more time just for kicks here. Bar, continuing, pinky goes. And then we'll go on in the next video. All right, see you in the next one.